So, lads, today we're going to be talking about Sophie Cunningham, and one of the clips from Sophie Cunningham that I've been sent quite a few times, and it's one of those things where Sophie Cunningham is, in general, slowly becoming one of the more likable players in the WNBA, and this is realistically one of her pretty much, defending the other players. She's defending the players in the league because of obviously the whole freaking the bullshit of
She really did go there, man. Sophie Cunningham didn't hold back, and her remarks served as a stark reminder to anyone who had preconceived notions about WNBA players. She essentially simply pulled back the curtain and revealed a quite unsettling reality to everyone. Forget about everything you believe you see throughout a game. These athletes' true stories are even more intricate and surprising. It serves as the league's much-needed reality check, highlighting the stark contrast between their actual selves and how they compete. The truth is far more complicated than we anticipated, and the game is ended.
I'm not just speaking for myself. I think I'm speaking on behalf of probably the whole league, that when people see us competing and trying to fight to do anything it takes to win, because this is a hard league, that they automatically think that's what you're like off the court. People need to get to know us players more, and I think if they do, they fall in love with us. And so not judging the competitive side of us compared to our off court.
And that's one of those things where I'm like, that's always the weirdest thing. For me, that's kind of been one of the weirder things, is where a lot of people, if there's a WNBA player, for example, that they're not the biggest fan of as a player.
According to her, spectators tend to think that a player's behavior on the court reflects their behavior off the court. Furthermore, it affects more than just one or two players. It affects the entire league. This fierce rivalry is misinterpreted as personal animosity. When you witness their combative plays, discussions, and struggle for every point, you assume that's who they are. However, Sophie asserts that their motivation to succeed in a challenging league and their fire have nothing to do with who they are at the end of the game.
Is where a lot of people, if there's a WNBA player, for example, that they're not the biggest fan of as a player, a lot of the casual fans instantly, just take a dislike to them as a person. I'm like, I just never got that, if you get me. I never understood why. I was like, there's always that big difference between what somebody's like as a person versus what somebody's like as a player. And it shouldn't take, it shouldn't realistically take Sophie Cunningham coming out to say that for people.
When you about it, the entire disconnect is very bizarre. People make assumptions about these athletes based only on their work. Imagine labeling a prominent CEO a complete jerk simply for being brutal during a business meeting. It sounds absurd, doesn't it? However, WNBA players struggle with just that. The mindset required to compete at that level and go above and beyond to win is entirely different than that of a person who spends time with their loved ones. The disparity between reality and perception is just enormous.
There is nobody's work persona is automatically their outside of work persona. There are plenty of people that can be, if they're a CEO of a company, that at work can be a bit of a dickhead, but are an extremely good person outside of work. And then, obviously, with the likes of Sophie Cunningham is a crash out artist. Sophie Cunningham is a crash out artist.
And Sophie Cunningham herself is the ideal illustration of this. She is referred to as a crash show artist on the court due to her extremely aggressive style of play and ability to irritate opponents. However, she is a major fan favorite off the court. She is immensely popular and adored by her own peers. This validates her entire argument. Although her on-court passion benefits her in the game, it gives her a public persona that is entirely at odds with the amiable, well-liked person she truly is. It serves as a powerful reminder that what you see in the heat of the moment is never the whole picture.
Crash out artist. Sophie Cunningham is a crash out artist. but seemingly is extremely popular off the court with fans. And by the way, extremely popular off the court with players. Like, if you guys don't know, like, do you guys remember the stud buds? Like, they'd be talking to Sophie Cunningham and they got so much abuse in their chat that they had to basically explain why they were talking to Sophie Cunningham. And that's one of those weird things where it's like, again, you have to have a bit of a backbone, which in fairness, Courtney Williams and
With the entire Barstool incident, you could truly see how awful things gets. After a content creator and Sophie had a casual interaction off the court, the conversation erupted into vitriol and hatred. In fact, they had to make a public statement about it. Fans couldn't even envision someone having a good conversation with her because they were so consumed by what they saw in the game. They didn't merely don't like her. Her competitive nature was the source of this deep-seated animosity. It simply demonstrates how quickly on-court behaviors may be used as weapons against the player personally.
Teams in the WNBA next year, there are 15 teams that would like to have Sophie Cunningham on their team. As for not only as a player, but as well for like off the court things, because she was a hell of a presenter when she was with Phoenix. So, you know, any of those teams are all linked with NBA teams. They're like, okay, cool. In the off season, if she doesn't go and play Project B, which realistically Project B is probably going to pay her more than the presenting role is, she's probably got like, you're probably going to get a good player. You're probably you're going to get a good player, and you're going to be getting a
And see, we're discussing more than just her.
The twice in one game against the Seattle Storm, trying to undercut someone in their ankle. The yank of Angel Reese's hair. I think the most Dejanay Carrington. I don't know anything about Dejanay Carrington off the floor. If anything, she's the one that, you know, her off the floor thing has just pissed off a lot of people. She's just pissed off a lot of people off the floor, like with some of the stuff she says. I don't know if she's a good or a bad person, but like she has said things, some very, very annoying things. And then also, like, let's not forget, she yanked someone down by her hair.
Another excellent illustration of what Sophie is discussing is Bria Hartley. Hartley was noted for her aggressive and occasionally dubious maneuvers in the game, earning her a reputation as a dirty player. However, based on what you've heard off the court, Bria Hartley seems like a pretty nice girl. Sophie Cunningham is attempting to highlight that significant distinction. After seeing a few passionate plays, it's quite simple to assign a label to someone, but the real person is typically far more nuanced than the narrative we witness throughout a game.
It's a positive thing that these players are getting more and more well known. It's a positive thing that the players are getting more popular. It's a positive thing that we're having to even have this conversation, being like, oh, you know, players are better off the court if you hate them on the floor. Because at least, I mean this when I say this, like, even if it is hate, they're at least like instilling some emotion in fans, which is kind of important. It's kind of an important thing in sports, you know, that like these players are able to instill some emotion. And if
Take a look at the items related to Hartley's performance. She allegedly made 2 attempts to undermine an opponent's ankle during a game against Seattle. Then there was Angel Reese's notorious hair yank. Those incidents infuriate supporters and solidify the moniker of dirty player. However, Sophie claims it's unfair to judge her entire character after such intense and even hazardous in-game activities. The stakes are great, and the game is physical, but those moments don't define a person. Angel Ree now gives this a deeper level. Although she is criticized for on-court, her off-court persona that has generated a great deal of debate as well. Many people have been offended by her frank and audacious remarks. This kind of blurs the divide Sophie was referring to because for some players, public opinion is shaped by more than simply on-court events. Even the speaker acknowledged that although they don't know Angel's personality, people have been irritated by her off-court remarks. It demonstrates how difficult it is to keep the player and the person apart when their statements outside of the game also cause waves. These athletes are ultimately just carrying out their duties in a fiercely competitive league. It's not a personal attack, despite the passion and emotion. They are exceptional athletes because of that I see. If a surgeon was intense during a surgery, you wouldn't be upset with them, would you? Additionally, this entire discussion is becoming more audible as the WNBA gains popularity. Even if supporters despise a player, it's still a type of engagement that benefits the sport. Getting supporters to be interested in the player rather than only detesting them is the true challenge. Put JC Sheldon on the court. Although she is a fierce competitor, everybody who has met her, especially at All-Star Weekend, will tell you that she is the sweetest person you have ever encountered. The competitive advantage you observe, such as the well-known bump with Caitlin Clark, is entirely at odds with that reputation. It demonstrates that on-court hostility is frequently only a portion of the act. One excellent example is the competition between Sheldon and Clark. Fans mistook that bump for a nasty personal grudge, but in reality, it's just a fight between competitors.
Sports are like that.
It's not a personal conflict, it's a violent game. A widely shared video about it demonstrated how many fans want to see drama, yet it isn't present. In actuality, this is just human nature. Seldom is your true self the same as your professional self. We are all familiar with individuals that are difficult at work yet actually nice people off the job. The issue for athletes is that every competitive moment is captured on camera, examined, and repeated, making it extremely difficult for spectators to separate the player from the person. So Sophie is basically just asking for some empathy. She's saying if you get to know the players beyond the game, you'll fall in love with them. And look at her, she's a great presenter off the court. That charisma is